Good morning. As most of you know, I'm Megan Selby. I am the 604B grant coordinator, and I'll be leading us through this presentation for the next offering. All right, so Section 604 of the Clean Water Act provides grants to determine the nature, extent, and causes of water quality issues and develop plans to restore or protect water quality pursuant to the Clean Water Act and the Massachusetts Surface Water Quality Standards. The Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act provides increased federal funding to our program for 5 years. For this round of funding, we will be focusing on development of watershed-based plans, including 9-element plans for impaired or degraded waters and alternative plans for healthy waters. Other work that will be prioritized includes work within National Water Quality Initiative, HUC 12 watershed, or work within a nitrogen-impacted coastal water. And we're also focusing on building capacity through regional or statewide non-point source coordinators. Previously, we offered these primarily through the 319 grant, as Padmini mentioned, but this round we will be only offering these coordinator projects through the 604B grant. Here is a quick look at the 9 EPA required elements that comprise a watershed-based plan. Judy will be going through these in greater detail in her presentation. So any activities that support the development of a watershed-based plan are eligible. These can include data gathering, assessment, modeling, BMP design, etc. Think of these as a suite that you can pull from to customize a plan to meet your watershed needs. These activities are eligible on their own, but when they're paired with the development of a watershed-based plan, they'll be much more competitive. In the past, we were mostly only able to support conceptual level designs due to our funding. This round, we'd like to support more advanced designs, think 80 to 100%, so that applicants can take their deliverables and move right into the implementation phase without having to spend more time wrapping up the planning. And also just to note that the list that you see up on the slide right now is not exhaustive. It's just some of the primary examples that we see quite often. Here is a list of eligible entities that are able to apply. And as Padmini mentioned, we are looking to support a statewide non-point source agricultural coordinator. That's the last bullet on this slide. These funds will be coming from the program funding bucket, and those are separate from project funds used for the other grant projects, so they have different eligibility requirements. So we'll be looking for an organization that has statewide agricultural capacity building experience for that role. MassDEP receives 1% of this SRF funding for the 604B award each year from EPA. States are required to offer a minimum of 40% of each award to subgrants. This year, we are excited to be able to offer approximately $1.8 million, which is comprised of funding from the 24 and 25 award years, both of which include our typical base funds and the supplemental IJA funding. No match is required, but it will help provide a competitive advantage if you are able to offer it. As some of you may know, we are no longer tracking our DBE goals, which were the disadvantaged business enterprise vendors. However, grantees are still required to follow the federal 6 good faith efforts when procuring goods and services. The good faith efforts ensure that the disadvantaged minority or woman-owned business enterprises, which are socially and economically disadvantaged, have an equal opportunity to engage in federally funded water quality planning work. Grantees are encouraged to document their efforts to meet the 6 good faith efforts, but we won't be tracking them like we have in the past. Contracts will be set up for a 2-year period, regardless of whether the anticipated work is less than that. There is no penalty for finishing early. There's one exception to that, and that will be that we'll offer a 3-year option for the non-point source coordinator projects to help support the time it can take for meaningful capacity building. These grants are reimbursement based, so you must expend expenses first, and then we're able to reimburse those expenses. 10% retainage was previously withheld from each invoice, which left a burden on the grantee until the end of the project. As you can imagine, that could be difficult for grantees to carry over multiple fiscal periods. We're starting to shift to holding that 10% retainage to the end of the project to help remove some of that barrier and simplify the fiscal tracking process. So we're hoping to release the request for proposals in early August. It will be posted on our Combis website, the MassDEP website, and we'll send out an email announcement. If you're not already on our email distribution list, please let us know and we can add you so that you can get that announcement. Once the RFP is issued, no specific project communication is allowed. We can answer administrative questions, things like if you can't access a document or you're having difficulty submitting it electronically, you can reach out to us and we can discuss those things. We're looking at having proposals due at the end of September. We'll go through our internal selection process with EPA, and then we are looking to notify applicants in the fall, winter of 26, and start contracting the beginning of 27. Here are the evaluation criteria categories. Supporting questions for each category will be supplied in the RFP, and you'll be able to see how many points are associated with each category too, to help you better support your application. So just some general application advice. Make sure that you're clearly outlining the problem, identify and discuss any specific impairments or pollution issues, review past studies and data and provide summaries of those if you can, locus maps and detailed map areas of the project, clearly outline the goals and approach. You want to connect the solution to the problem, and show rationale for location and BMP selection and or sampling locations. So as always, you want to assume that the reviewer is not familiar with your project. You want to give as much information and background information as possible so that they have a full picture and can easily answer those evaluation criteria questions. So when thinking about a budget, you want to make sure that you're clearly separating your salary, subcontractors, equipment, mileage, things like that, and that those categories are also linking back to your tasks so that it's very clear how much is associated with each budget category and each task. Quality assurance project plans are required for all monitoring, assessment, and modeling work. And we recommend that you check with the lab that you're planning to use to determine that they can meet the appropriate detection levels. Just want to highlight again that the 6 good faith efforts are still required under the federal law. And there's a supplier diversity office. The SDO has a certified list of, I think it's about 950 DBEs that you can use to pull from to search for vendors that you could, that would qualify under that category. Letters of support from any contributing financial or in-kind efforts should be included. And this year, since we do have 2 award years and 2 separate categories under each, so there's 4 different pots of funding in theory, we encourage you to make sure that your tasks are set up in a way that your project could be partially funded. We're not able to combine those funding pots, so I anticipate that we'll have up to 4 projects that are partially funded, just so that we can make sure that we're allocating all the funding without going over the funding amounts. So these next few slides are just some additional resources and links for you to look at. As we mentioned earlier, we're going to be providing these slides so that you can take a look and click on all these links to access this information. But just quickly, we have links for some of the technical memoranda that MassDEP has produced in the past, our water quality monitoring data. As Padney mentioned, we have a watershed-based planning tool which gives you the outline of all the 9 elements that are required for approval, and also a link to the EPA's quick guide for developing a watershed-based plan. We have some examples of past projects that have been funded. We also have a link for the Clean Water Toolkit, which gives an overview of non-point source or in general best management practices to address water quality issues. And then some other really handy stormwater links as well. And the last link there is the link to the Supplier Diversity Office for TBE vendors.